Hi, this is Zach with Worn and Wound. Today I have for review a Steinhart Ocean Vintage Military. Now, to the seasoned watch collector, they'll be able to obviously tell what this is an homage to, but to those who are just starting out, I'll go into a little detail. This is a Rolex Submariner homage watch, but more specifically, this is an homage to a very special edition, which was the Rolex Reference 5517 Mil Sub watch, which was a military issue Rolex that was specifically ordered by the British Royal Navy in the early 70s. They're probably, I think I've seen approximate numbers, around 1,200 were ever made of the originals. And they're amongst the rarest and most collectible Rolex Submariners in existence. At auction, they go for roughly $100,000. They're true pieces of naval history and of watch history. And they're gorgeous. The problem is they're really, really attractive, so you probably, if you're like me, want one, but you're not going to get one at $100,000. So there's a few brands making homages or in the spirit of watches, and this is the Steinhart. As you can see, they've pulled off a few of the details of the homage really, really well of the 5517. And what makes that model specifically recognizable are the sword hands, date-free maxi dial as it's called, which is also the dial from the Rolex 5513, and the bezel insert, which has full markers going around, whereas on the normal Submariner, they just go to 15 and then they skip the individual minutes. The Steinhart Ocean Vintage Military is a really great value in a watch. At approximately $400, you're getting a very well-built stainless steel watch with a ETA 2824-2 automatic movement in it. You're going to be getting a double anti-reflective coated sapphire domed crystal, which if I turn you can see is very, very nice detail. It has this very attractive bevel to it before it domes, which it's just one of those like forms that is it's very attractive. Really kind of adds some visual value to the watch. The bracelet it comes on, this oyster style steel bracelet, is also very well constructed. One of the nicest I've seen in the price range. It's also easy to change as the links have screws in them, which is just a nice detail. It's just truly an exceptional value. I mean, when you consider what's in this watch, what other brands charge for watches with those features could easily be a $1,000, $1,500 watch. The stainless steel case of the Steinhart Ocean Vintage Military measures 42 wide, about 50 lug to lug with a 22 millimeter lug width. It's a very well constructed case. I'll turn it around. It might be a little tricky to see here with the bracelet in front, but it's got this very nicely etched kind of soldier riding a seahorse, which I guess is the Steinhart Ocean logo. It's just a very simple, well-executed case back. But perhaps my favorite feature, and one of the features that really kind of indicates quality to me, is the bezel construction. You have this very attractive, bezel, which like I said refers to the 5517 bezel. And the mechanism here is just really great. You'll hear it clicks very, very sharply. I love that. And it lands very, very precisely on the mark. To me, when I first turned this, it really just suggested, yeah, you got a watch that's well made. Now looking at the crown, you'll see that it has this kind of this nice little Steinhart logo on it, this crowned S, deeply etched in, always a good sign. It's very easy, smooth turning screw down crown. I pop it. Now I can wind the movement in here. Also obviously pull it out one more setting and I can alter the time. Has a hacking seconds naturally since it's an ETA 2824-2. Pushing it in and it catches the threads very easily, very smoothly. It's once again just a high quality piece. The dial of the Steinhart Ocean Vintage Military is very well executed. Has very crisp printing, very deep black, background. Now the dial, as I said, refers to the Rolex Submariner dial, specifically the reference 5513 or 5517 dials. What is very clearly indicating that are the large circles here and the large rectangles, and then the large triangle at 12. It's just the Submariner style. On this specific version, the dots are actually a little bit larger than they were. It's called the Maxi dial, which is for maximum visibility, and you can understand why that would be used in a military edition. Now what Steinhart did was they used this old radium style lume, which is something we've seen before, like on the Seaward C8 pilot watch that we reviewed. It's a very attractive color, has this kind of pale peach kind of color, but it doesn't glow that color, it glows pale green. I happen to think it's very nice. I don't really care, if it's attempting to look like patina. That's not really what I find nice about it. I think it's just a good color, and it's simply attractive on the dial. Looking at the text that they have printed here, you have the S and the Steinhart logo. Then you have 1 with a circle. Now that's referring to two things. On the original Rolex 5517, one of the details that makes that different than it's kind of a civilian model is that it had a circle with a T in it, and that indicated that the watch had the presence of tritium. This watch doesn't have tritium, and Steinhart names the series that this is part of the Ocean 1 series, hence the 0 with a 1. Then beneath that says 660 feet, 200 meters, automatic. Now, this is kind of a funny detail, something I've seen some conversation about in the forums. The watch actually has a 300 meter depth rating. 660 feet, 200 is what it said on the 5517. It's kind of a silly thing for them to have done. Does it kill the watch for me? Absolutely not. But of all the details to keep from the original, I don't really know if that was the one that they needed to. It's just a weird thing. Anyway, now looking in at the hands, these Submariners are known for their Mercedes-style hour hand, but the Mill Subs are known for these sword hands. Particularly this hour hand is kind of very broad and stubby. It's just, one of the indicators that it's a Mill Sub style watch. Another thing I like, and this is actually on the bezel, but it relates to the lume, is this little applied plastic marker. It's just very cool. I just really, really like the detail there. And when it glows, that's the only thing glowing on the bezel. The Steinhart is very comfortable on the wrist. At 42 millimeters, it sits in that just kind of very comfortable medium range. The original watches were 40. Steinhart sized it up a little bit, I think, which is kind of a contemporary thing to do. Now the watch comes with this oyster-style metal bracelet, which is also very high quality. Keep in mind, this is all still a $400 package, which is really remarkable. It has this nice brushed texture to it, or finish, which matches the case perfectly. You have the Steinhart logo on the clasp here. You can see how it's actually got a little bit of wear from just me using it a lot. Now, typically I'm not really a metal bracelet person, but I have to say I find this one very nice. It's very, very comfortable. It's definitely one that I'll put on the watch for the right circumstance. It's also, I had to take 4 links off of this to fit my wrist, and they're very easy to change. They have little screws on them rather than kind of, push through bars, which can be tricky. So here you have these screws. It's super simple to change. It kind of maybe messes up the even finish of it, but that's not something I personally find too disturbing. But now the Rolex 5517 watch actually had fixed lugs on it, and that was meant to be used with NATO-style nylon straps, which really increase the sportiness and the military style of the watch. So I'll show you how it looks on some of those now. So my favorite look for the Ocean Vintage Military is on a NATO strap. It really brings out the military kind of history of the watch and just makes it much more sporty and aggressive. which is, I just think is cool looking. Here I have it on this brown Maritac, nylon Maritac NATO, which I really like. It really kind of works well with the old radium loom here. I'll show it to you on a couple other NATOs. So let's take this one off real quick. Just a quick note actually about this Maritac NATO. It's really high quality. These are some of my favorite NATOs, so if you're looking for one this color, I really recommend the Maritac. Let's take it off. Now I'll show you a couple of other options. For something very different from that, you can use a leather NATO. I have this, what's called the vintage leather NATO from Panatime. It's a very kind of soft and plush leather. It's a nice quality, and it has kind of a matching satin hardware to it. And I mean, just looking at that, it's really beautiful. This gives it just, it's another option. But I think if you're going to put on a leather strap, I'd go with the NATO because it keeps some of the sportiness to it. And then one more option I'll show you real quick that I like a lot too is this kind of blue steel gray NATO, which I picked up from Strap Code. It's a pretty decent quality, though this one's a little short. But similarly to the brown one, this really makes the old radium pop, but in a different way. I think this really kind of sets it off. That's just such a cool looking combination. I think it speaks for itself. The Steinhart arrives in a white box with this inside of it. It's a nice leather texture, kind of stitched around. Has a Steinhart logo in silver on the top. Has this funny little closure on the front, which I like. It's not a button or a snap or a magnet, it just is a little pop through on a leather flap. So open that up, and then you have the watch. And it's really as simple as that. It's a very protective, very sturdy case, and it does a very good job of presenting the watch to you. I mean, you see it just like bam, there's the watch. It has this nice kind of egg carton foam on the top. I'm 100% sure that this watch would survive a very rough, flight from Germany to the States. To wrap things up, the Steinhart Ocean Vintage Military is kind of a perfectly styled 5517 homage. It's extremely well built, and it's an extremely great value. I mean, it's $400, like I said, and you're getting sapphire crystal, you're getting at the 2824-2 movement, and you're getting great build quality. I think, I don't know what else really there is to look for in a good watch. This might, very well be one of the best priced watches that we've come across just in terms of value. And, from what we've read, that's really kind of what everyone says about Steinhart. So it's great to see with our own eyes that they, live up to the expectation. I hope you liked the review. Feel free to leave a comment in the review on YouTube, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, YouTube, and just keep coming back. Thanks a lot. Bye. Maxi dial style dial.